In today's episode on family relationships and boundary setting, discover how to maintain your authentic self and new identity when family patterns try to pull you back into your old stories. You know, the ones that make you feel like shit? Yeah, those ones. Holiday times are when those stories are likely to resurface, and you have to question or even forget all the hard work you have done to create the new you. You're going to learn evidence-based tools for managing holiday stress and family dynamics that make you question your self-worth. Master practical strategies for emotional regulation and personal growth, even when faced with challenging family situations. Remember, this is the third of a 3-part masterclass series for the holiday season, so there's going to be a bunch of actionable item steps in this episode. Make sure to have a pen and paper available and hit the pause button anytime you need more time to process and write. Also, if you have not listened to the last 2 episodes, not including the meditations, go back and listen because each episode, even though independent, builds on each other. Welcome to Intentionally Single, Seeking But Not Settling. I'm Lauren Jean, your host, integrative wellness coach, and hypnotist. Each week, we explore mindset shifts and mind-body strategies to help you live life intentionally single and content while remaining open to possibilities. Unlike typical dating advice, we focus on personal fulfillment to attract genuine love. Join us to transform unconscious patterns and embrace your intentionally single lifestyle. Stop feeling deflated by the dating world and start prioritizing the most important relationship, the one with yourself. Welcome to Intentionally Single, Seeking, Not Settling. I'm your host, Lauren Jean. Today, we're exploring something that impacts personal growth and self-development and can even shake the strongest sense of self. How family relationships can challenge your self-worth and boundary-setting abilities. I'm going to share something fascinating about how your brain processes family interactions. Do you remember the mind rules from the past episodes? Yeah, we're going to go into those again today. You know those moments when you walk into a family gathering, holiday being specific since they're right around the corner, and you're feeling confident, you're feeling grounded. But within minutes, you're questioning everything about yourself. There's actually a psychological reason for this. Today's episode is going to be packed full of information, so make sure that you have the time to listen to this when you can actually pay attention. Remember, this is a masterclass, so I want you to actually take away this information and use it as we go into the holiday season. Your brain has stored every single family interaction, every comment, every subtle look, every energetic feeling, like those ones that you can't explain, since your childhood. These memories aren't just stored as thoughts. They're stored as physical sensations, emotional responses, and deeply rooted patterns. So when your mom makes a subtle comment about your life's choices, or maybe your sister gives you that familiar look, it's not just a triggering thought. It's activating an entire network of stored experiences within your mind. This is why maintaining your new identity around family can feel like you're fighting a battle or swimming upstream, and you're just not getting anywhere. You're not just dealing with present moment interactions. You're navigating through layers of stored memories and patterns. But here's what's powerful. Once you understand these patterns, you can start to change them. I want to talk about exactly what happens in these moments, and more importantly, how to stay mentally strong in who you've become, even when the old stories try to pull you under, like you're getting caught in a wave at the beach. Has anyone else done that? I know I have. Been pulled under, thrown around, and coming out feeling like, why did that happen to me? I know I'm stronger than that, but it still does. It's because it's easy to get pulled into when you're not aware, like that wave that just comes and grabs you. You don't see it coming, but oh, there it is. The key to remaining in your new identity starts with practicing self-awareness and also being prepared for triggers to come up because it's inevitable. So you want to be prepared for these triggers and not just let them get thrown on you like that wave. Let me share 2 crucial mind rules that explain why these family dynamics are so powerful. I've spoken about these rules in past episodes, but they're so valuable that I really want you to keep hearing them and understanding them so that you can apply them to your relationships. So you're going to hear me repeat these words and these rules over and over again. The first mind rule is your brain likes what is familiar and does not like what is unfamiliar. So when you're around your family, your brain automatically seeks familiar patterns, even the unhealthy ones in family relationships, because they represent emotional safety. This is why you might find yourself falling to old roles even when you've worked so hard to change them. It's because they're familiar and your body knows that specific emotion, therefore it is comfortable with it. Doesn't mean it likes it, but it means it's comfortable with it and it knows how to manage that. The second mind rule is your mind responds to the pictures and words that were installed early in your life. Those early family experiences. They're like a default setting in your brain. When someone questions your choices or compares you to others, these installed pictures and words automatically activate, making you question your new identity. And here's what makes this especially challenging during family gatherings. Everyone in your family is operating under their own installed pictures and words about who you are. And this is unconscious. So they're not actually saying to themselves, this is who you are, and these are the words, and these are the pictures. No, this is just happening automatically. Your mom still sees this little girl who needs protection. Your dad sees the same thing. Your sister still sees her competing sibling. Your brain recognizes all these family dynamics and wants to respond in familiar ways to keep you safe and to keep you comfortable. But here's where it gets really interesting. There's a third mind rule that can help break these patterns. What you focus on grows stronger. I've said in past episodes, you've probably heard this. This is actually a mind rule. Every single time you maintain your boundaries, every time you stay grounded in your new identity, you're actually creating new neural pathways. You're installing new pictures and words about who you are. Okay, so let's get into some things that you can actually do. Think about the last time you successfully stood in your power around your family. You felt strong, you felt grounded, you felt really good. Notice how that feels in your body. Remember that sensation. That's your brain creating new empowering installations. Let's talk about what actually happens in your brain during these triggering family moments. You know those comments that seem to come out of nowhere, but they're like a gut punch, like really hard? There's a fascinating brain science behind why they affect you so strongly, because they really do suck. When you hear the familiar question, the ones that just are annoying, still single, or another one like you're just too picky, something immediately happens in your brain. Mind rule number 1 kicks in. Your brain will automatically seek what's familiar. Even though you might be confident, a successful adult in your daily life, your brain's going to recognize this pattern from years of family dynamics. It wants to respond. I emphasize it wants to respond in the old, comfortable way. Maybe by being shameful, by trying to scramble to defend yourself, or maybe just simply shrinking and hiding to make the discomfort just go away. Like, I don't want to feel this feeling, so you want it to just go away. This feels safer to your brain than actually standing firmly in your new identity. But it'll go even deeper than that. The second mind rule tells us that your mind responds to pictures and words that were installed early in your life. Think about how many times that you've heard these comments or experienced these dynamics. Each time it created an installation in your brain, like a program on a computer. When your family compares you to your married cousin or your sister with her perfect family, it's not about just this small isolated comment. It's activating years, and many years of installed programming about your worthiness, about timing, and what success looks like. So let's break down 3, I'm sure there's more, but I'm going to go with 3 common triggers right now, exactly how your mind will process them. First, we have the helpful family suggestions. You know, the ones that are just like unsolicited? This advice about your dating life, about your career choices, maybe about the way you wear your hair, your lifestyle, all of those. When these comments hit, your brain automatically runs its familiar program. It's kind of like a muscle memory. Before you can even think about it, you're just feeling that old doubt creep in. And maybe you're questioning decisions that you were completely confident in like 5 minutes ago. your body responds too. Everything works together. Notice the tightness in your chest, or maybe you're holding your breath and you don't even notice. Maybe your hand is forming this fist. It's not just emotion, it's your brain activating these old installations about others knowing better than you. This pattern probably started way back when you actually did need guidance, like when you were a kid for everything. But now you're an adult and you don't need that anymore. But your brain will still default to this programming in family situations because it is so comfortable, because it is so known. Then there is this comparison trigger. It's probably the most potent one. This is the one that I've dealt with. When family members start comparing you to others, although in my situation, I was comparing myself. So this didn't come from family. And this could be directly through subtle comments about maybe your cousin's wedding, your sister's wedding, your sister's family. Your brain is going to kick into high gear. The familiar response is immediate. There is no time in between. It's feeling less than or behind, or somehow you're deficient. These triggers, those early installations about measuring up, keeping up the pace. You might notice that your stomach knots up, or your shoulders are tensing, or you're holding your breath. These physical responses are your body's way of telling you that your old program is running. So this is a little hint right here that you can see when you notice your body responding in these physical ways. This is a sign telling you, okay, this program is now running. You can become aware of it. The most subtle, but perhaps most damaging trigger is undermining you. These are the small comments or even the looks that seem innocent, but somehow make you question everything about yourself. Maybe it's a raised eyebrow when you talk about your career choices, a slight pause before you respond to your dating decisions. Your brain recognizes these subtle cues from years and years and years of experience. And they trigger those deep down installations about not being able to trust your own judgment. Okay, so here is where mind rule number 3 becomes your, we'll call it secret weapon or superpower. I like the word superpower. I use that a lot. What you focus on grows stronger. It's not just about positive thinking. It's actually neuroscience. Every time you notice these old patterns activating, I said notice, so you need to notice them. You have what is called this power moment. It's a chance to either strengthen the old installations or create new ones. So let me demonstrate how this works in real time so you can create this picture in your head and actually see it or understand it better. When that helpful, quote unquote, I never use that word quote unquote, but I need to here so that you can get it. When that quote unquote helpful suggestion comes your way, instead of defaulting to your doubt, you can choose to focus on your track record of making good decisions. Each time you do this, you are literally creating new neural pathways. It's like carving this new path through a forest, a brand new path. You go a different way. The more you walk it, the clearer and stronger it becomes. You can actually see the pathway. With comparisons, you can shift your focus to your own unique timeline and your achievements. It's not about ignoring family comments. Let me stress that. It's not about ignoring. It's about choosing which neural pathway gets strengthened. When you feel that familiar knot in your stomach starting to form, that's your cue to activate your new programming. That's self-awareness. I choose which measurements matter to me. For those subtle undermining moments, this is where the power of the mind rule number 3 really comes into play. Instead of letting the looks or those comments trigger you and bring upon old doubts, you can use them as reminders to strengthen your self-trust. Each time you stay grounded in your own wisdom, despite the external questioning, you're building a stronger neural connection to your authentic self. Think of it as you're updating your brain's operating system and software. The old program says seek approval, but the new program that you install says trust your inner knowing. And every time you choose the new program and you trust your inner knowing, even in the small moments, which to me I think are the most important ones, You're making it stronger and you're making it more automatic. Okay, so I've given you a lot of information so far up until this point. So if you need to stop and process, please be my guest. I don't want you to just listen to this. I want you to understand it. So if you need to rewind, that's an old term. Gen Xer here. If you need to stop and go back, please do. If you need to stop and take a rest, please do. If you want to continue, let's jump to a powerful journaling exercise. You can take out your phone or a piece of paper. I highly suggest taking out a piece of paper because your unconscious mind works very well with pen and paper. We're going to create a pattern interrupt map for you so that you can use these tools when you're going to family events, specifically holiday, because that's what we're here talking about. All right, so if you have that pen and paper out, or the phone if you choose, first I want you to bring up a new section in your notes on your phone or journal this out. First, identify 3 recent situations where you felt pulled back into your old family patterns and write these down. I'm going to ask you these questions for you to write down. I'm going to pause for a second so that you can actually get them written down. So the first one is, what was the trigger? Be specific about the exact words or the actions. Where did you feel it in your body? What old installation or story did it activate? And how did you typically respond? So those 4 questions. What was the trigger? Be specific about the exact words or actions. Where did you feel it in your body? What old installation or story did it activate? And how did you typically respond? Those are the 4 questions. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. For each situation, write down, if I were operating from my new identity, I would. Here's where you can take time, pause, and come back. Okay, so if you wrote all those down and you had some time to do that, wonderful. If you're coming back to it, also great. Just don't forget to come back. All right. So this isn't about what you should do or what others expect. This is about you accessing your authentic power. Notice what comes up when you complete that sentence. If I were operating from my new identity, I would. That's the sentence. Pay attention to how your body feels as you imagine responding from this new place of power. Imagination has such a powerful place in our self-development, creating our identity. Now take a moment to really feel, I say feel, into this new response. Where do you feel it in your body? What sensations come up when you imagine staying anchored in your truth? Remember, you're not just thinking about new responses. You are actually creating new neural pathways as you write. Each time you imagine responding from your authentic self, your heart, your soul, you're strengthening these new patterns. Now that you've mapped out your patterns, let's talk about how to use these insights in real-time family situations during the holidays. Because here is what is fascinating. Just having this awareness already starts to weaken those old neural pathways. Think of it as having a new superpower. When you walk into your next family gathering, which might be this coming week as Christmas and Christmas Eve approach, you're going to have your pattern interrupt map, not just in your journal, but installed in your awareness. You'll start noticing those triggers before they fully activate the old programming. All right, let me share what this looks like in practice so you can understand a bit better. Let's just say you're at Christmas Eve dinner and your aunt starts in with her familiar concerned questions about your life choices. Instead of immediately falling into the old patterns or defending or explaining yourself, you're going to notice first the trigger, her specific words or her tone. You're going to notice your body's initial responses, maybe the tightness in your chest or the holding of your breath. You'll also notice the old story trying to activate so badly. You'll also notice your new choice point, where you want to actually be, because this is where your power lies. It's in that micro moment between that trigger and the response. It's like having a pause button for those old patterns. Again, I've spoken a lot. So I want you to take a breath and imagine this scene with me. You can close your eyes if you want to, or you can just listen to my words. I want you to feel yourself sitting at that family dinner table. Notice how your body feels when you're in your power, when you're anchored in your new identity. This sensation is your internal compass, your reminder of who you've become. Let me give you some specific power phrases and responses that honor both your new identity and your family bonds. Again, it's not about creating conflict. It's about maintaining your boundaries while staying connected to your family. When you get those triggering comments, here's a couple responses that maintain your power. Instead of defending or explaining, try this. I appreciate your concern, but I trust my path. That's an interesting perspective. Or, I'm confident in my choices. Or, I hear you and I'm at peace with where I am right now. Notice how these responses acknowledge without engaging. It states your truth without justification, and it keeps your energy contained within your own body. You're not exhausting yourself by trying to explain yourself. But what's most important, it's not just about the words. It's about maintaining your energetic boundaries. Think of it as having this invisible force field around you. The old comments and the patterns, they can exist outside that field without penetrating your sense of self. Let's practice this right now. Think of the most common trigger you face in your family situation. Think of that for a moment. I'm sure it'll pop right up. Notice the feel of the sensation of your force field, your energetic boundary. Notice how you can acknowledge the comment while keeping your energy contained. It's about self-awareness, guys. This is not about pushing away or resisting. It's about you staying anchored in your truth, staying strong. The key is to remain genuine while staying grounded. And your family might be surprised at first because they're used to your old responses because of the family dynamics that you've had since you were a kid. But over time, as you consistently maintain the new boundaries, you're not just changing your old patterns, you're giving them permission to see and relate to you differently, which is incredible. Let's talk about what happens after you stand in your power. So after they start to relate to you differently, because this is where a lot of people can get thrown off track because the family dynamics have now shifted. And this aftermath can sometimes feel more challenging than the initial boundary setting moments. You might experience something that's called a power hangover, which is after standing firm in your new identity, you might feel many different things. You could feel a wave of guilt. You could feel anxiety about having upset this family dynamic and throwing everyone off. You might even have the urge to go back and fix things or bring them back to normal or comfort level. You might feel physically exhausted from maintaining boundaries because it can be exhausting. And you might feel old doubts creeping back in. These are all completely normal. Remember mind rule 1. Your brain likes what's familiar. When you choose a new response, your brain might try to pull you back to the old familiar by creating discomfort. This is what it does. It's not a sign that you've done something wrong. It's actually evidence that you're creating new neural pathways. Okay, so when you feel this resistance starting to arise in your body, you can do one little practice. You can place one hand on your heart, I'm doing it right now, and one on your stomach. You can take a deep breath and say to yourself, I choose to grow through this discomfort. I choose to grow through this discomfort. You can use this as an affirmation. Feel how your body responds to this permission to change. I choose to grow through this discomfort. And here is what you can use in your aftercare toolkit, your toolbox. You can journal about the interaction while it's still fresh. You can notice what felt different about your new response. Celebrate the small victories and actually maintaining your boundaries, because that's huge. That's an accomplishment. You can also give yourself permission to feel uncomfortable. That's okay too, because once you give yourself permission to feel the uncomfortable feeling, it will start to diminish. And also remember that everyone is adjusting to your growth because you're changing those family dynamics, which is perfectly okay. Now let's get into how you can maintain your power around family over time, because it's not just about surviving one holiday dinner, guys. This is about permanently upgrading how you show up in your family dynamics. So before any family gathering, these are just some things that I suggest, but I want you to really use your own mind and create something that you can do before family gatherings. The things that I suggest are taking 5 minutes of quiet time to ground yourself. Place one hand on your heart, one on your stomach, just like we just did. I choose to grow through this discomfort. Or you can put any other affirmation in there that is appropriate for that time. Breathe deeply and remember who you've become. You can go back and you can review those specific triggers from your pattern interrupt map. You can set 3 clear intentions for how you show up. You can visualize yourself maintaining boundaries with ease. You can create something that's called a physical anchor, like touching your wrist or pulling on your ear or touching your heart to remind you of your power. And when you're doing this, you're creating an association. Our brain learns by associating things. So when you are associating the specific event and how you want to feel with touching your wrist or your ear or your heart, this is a reminder to your brain of your power. Now, during the interactions with family, here's again another list of things that you can do. Notice your first body signal that you're losing ground. You can take bathroom breaks when you feel like your energy is draining. Just get up and go into another room, use the bathroom, go outside for a walk. Just take a step away. You can use your anchor, which we just spoke about, touching your wrist, touching your heart or your ear. Stay connected to the physical sensations in your body. This takes some work because you need to be more self-aware than actually involved maybe in conversations that are happening. But this is pertinent to your self-development. And it'll be easier to maintain these things in family gatherings once you've practiced for a while. Another thing you can do is focus on your breathing. Keep your breathing steady and deep. And also remember, you can be both powerful and kind to your family instead of reacting. After family gatherings, you can find a quiet space to process. I would say within the day, within 24 hours. You can journal about specific moments when you maintained your boundaries. So giving yourself permission to celebrate. Notice and note down any moments where old patterns emerged. Acknowledge your growth without any judgment. You can release guilt through physical movement. So releasing any sort of emotion like guilt through physical movement, through dance, through working out, through going for a walk, through maybe dancing to some music in your bedroom. I think I said dancing already, but I do this a lot. I do a lot of dance to release emotion. Works powerfully. Okay, you can also reinforce new neural pathways through a positive visualization. You can plan small rewards for maintaining your power. It's like being a child with a potty chart, and it really works. Kids want to get gold stars. I think adults do too. All right, so let's go into creating your power maintenance plan. You can take out your journal again right now. We're going to create your personalized power plan. I'll give you a second. Grab that pen and paper. Come back if you need to. First, empty sheet of paper. Write down your power signals. So, how does your body feel when you're in power? What's your natural speaking tone when you're grounded? These are questions that you're going to journal out. And what posture reflects your authentic strength? On another piece of paper, and you're going to come back and answer these later. Next, you're going to list your reset tools. So anything that you need to bring you back into your power. So you're going to write these journal prompts down. Reset tools. A phrase that will bring you back to your center, back to your heart, back to your soul. A physical movement that grounds you. And then the third one is a visualization that reinforces your worth. All right, on a third piece of paper, you're going to identify your non-negotiables. So the 3 prompts on this page are: 1 boundary you'll maintain no matter what. So whatever that is that you will not stretch for. The second one is 1 way you will honor your growth. And then the third one is 1 truth that you'll stand firm in. So those are some journal prompts that you can come back to and really create this personalized power plan for yourself. So first you got power signals, then you have reset tools, and then you have non-negotiables. All of these will bring you right back to where you need to be. And they'll be very good reminders, and I'm sure you'll get some great information out of just journaling and using something I call automatic writing. It's just automatically writing the answers to these without thought. All right, so let's move into the next section, giving you 3 powerful tools you can use immediately. One is called a power pause. So before you enter any family situation, take 3 deep breaths and remind yourself, I choose who I am in this moment. I choose who I am in this moment. This creates a pattern interrupt before old dynamics can take hold. The second one is an energy shield. When you feel old patterns trying to pull you in, because they will try to pull you in, imagine this golden light surrounding you. Everything can exist outside this shield without getting in and affecting your sense of self. And the third one is a reset button. If you feel yourself slipping, excuse yourself briefly, place your hand on your heart, and repeat, I trust my growth. I trust my growth. I trust my growth. This physically and mentally brings you back to your power. All right. So a couple of quick guidelines for some common situations. Okay. So when you're feeling compared to others, think of these as affirmations. All right. These work very powerfully, and you can replace them with other things that feel more appropriate for yourself. But I'm just giving you some examples and some simple things that you can use to start. So let's go back to this one. When compared to others, I'm exactly where I need to be. Simple. I'm exactly where I need to be, because I know that you know at this point in your growth and your development, you know that you're exactly where you need to be. When you're given unwanted advice, when you can respond, I appreciate your care, I can appreciate your concern, but I trust my path. And another one is when you're questioned about your life's choices, simply, I'm confident in my decisions. Remember, your only job is to stay anchored in your truth. That's the whole point of this podcast episode. You are supposed to stay anchored in your truth. You're not responsible for maintaining or managing others' reactions to your growth. Not at all. Guys, there was a lot of information in this episode today. A lot of information. So I definitely suggest that you come back and you listen to this again and again and again and again if you need to. Do all the journaling prompts. I would love, love, love to hear what you thought of this one. Really would love to hear what you thought of this one. So please reach out. You can find me at intentionallysinglepodcast@gmail.com, or you can find me on Instagram at the girl with the vine tattoo. That is me. If today's episode about maintaining your power in family dynamics resonated with you, I really have a special request. It would be a wonderful, wonderful holiday gift for me. The greatest gift you can give this podcast is your honest review and your rating. Please head over to Apple Podcasts or Spotify and share how these mind rules and power tools have helped impact your life. Your review does 3 powerful things. It helps other singles find these tools when they need them the most. It enables me to create more targeted content for our community, and it supports the growth of this message about maintaining boundaries. Please take 1 minute now to rate and review. I would really love it. Think of it as paying forward for the insights that you've gained today. As far as next week's episode, I know I always announce what that's going to be. However, I'm kind of struggling with which one that I want to use because it's going to be for right around New Year's Eve. So I'm going to let that one be a surprise for you. So make sure that you go back and you listen to the 2 other episodes in this 3-part masterclass. And if you have any questions, please email me and I will respond back. I always, always, always encourage you to ask questions and to also let me know if there's anything that you want to hear on this podcast as this develops even more and more. So I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful Christmas Eve, or even Hanukkah. Hanukkah, I think, falls on Christmas Eve, or no, Christmas night, actually, this year. So enjoy your holidays. Enjoy everything. Enjoy your family. Stay grounded. And I want to thank you for tuning in to Intentionally Single, Seeking, Not Settling. I'm Lauren Jean, reminding you that your power lies in choosing who you are in each moment. And please keep your heart open to possibilities because there are so many.